Salutations, every pup, and welcome to chapters 3, 4, and 5 of Sorry, Wrong Number by ShizunaRey. As always, a link to the fic will be in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's jump on into it. Chapter 3. Mr. Stark. Sorry. It was rare for someone to visit them. No friends and all that. So when Stephen decided to open the door, he expected maybe some kind of kid trying to sell him cookies, like in the movies. Not to come face to face with Tony fucking I am Iron Man Stark. It was only a natural reaction to slam the door shut right away. Mark sent him an unimpressed look through the mirror on his right. Maybe it was for the better that he couldn't see his own panicked reflection at the moment. Of course, Stark had to speak up, his voice coming through muffled and with a twinge of annoyance. Sorry, buddy. It seems like you accidentally closed that door. Might want to try again? A last panicked look towards the mirror, in which Mark looked at him amused. Why was he like that? Wasn't he the one that always went all serious and grumpy and mean and... Oh god, Tony Stark? Stephen quickly opened the door again, locking eyes with the hero, who, without warning, made his way into the living space while Stephen closed the door behind him, looking panicked towards Mark Stark. Mark again, Stark. Oh wow, their names are pretty similar. Mr. Stark, sir, what are you doing here? Said man had paused in front of the fish tank, mustering Gus, and then stood straight up, walking towards Stephen, who in his defense only stumbled back a bit. Stephen Grant, right? Yes, that's me. One and only, haha. Probably not the one and only. Probably not the only one if... Tony cut his rambling right off. Stephen, huh? Is it okay if I call you Stephen? Yes, Stephen's fine. Or would you prefer Mark? Stephen's eyes widened, and he immediately looked back to the mirror where his own panicked expression met Mark's disbelieving one. Or maybe Jake? Tony continued, all while the other was having some kind of staring contest with his bathroom mirror. Suddenly, Stephen started talking again. Not to Tony, but rather himself. Take over. Take the body. Take it! Tony watched a flash of disbelief flash through the other's expression. What do you mean, no? You always want to take over. No, this is not funny. Okay, the only thing that came to Tony's mind was that the man currently had some problems. Either that, or he had no idea what a distraction was meant to be. Distracting from oneself. I swear to, I will jump us off a building, you prick! That seemed to do the trick, because the next thing Tony knew was that the man in front of him rolled his eyes, all weird, and then finally looked towards him. Mark. Huh? You may call me Mark, Mr. Stark. Please, have a seat. Mr. Stark was my father. Call me Tony. A bit perplexed by the sudden change, Tony just sat on the chair to which Stephen, or Mark, Jake, whatever, had gestured. The other seated himself on the other side of the table, closing some books and shoving them a bit to the side so there was nothing between the two men but blank wood. First of all, I would like to apologize for my rudeness earlier. Big fan. Now, to what do I owe the visit? Chapter 4. That went well. Or worse. Fuck this. Chapter summary. Another chapter! Yay! I also found some more interaction content. I suggest filtering for characters, not per fandom, which I'm really happy about. Also, get ready for Stephen and gang finally meeting other people in the next chapter. Eee! Sorry for putting this in summary, my notes somehow don't load. Stephen watched the two interact from fake Gus's aquarium. His panic had eased a bit since Mark took over, and was obviously handling the whole thing better than he had. Stark also adjusted quite well and threw in some ironic comments at times. Stephen felt another presence, kind of like you feel someone watching you, but then you turn around and no one's there. Just less creepy, considering he knew it was Jake watching over the two. Mark had calmly explained to the billionaire that the whole chat room incident truly was just an accident and that he thought it was just some nerds role-playing. He even wanted to let Stark go through Stephen's phone, to which the other replied that he already had that covered. The whole conversation then spiraled down to privacy breaches and currently came down to insulting each other in the seemingly politest ways possible. Suddenly, Stark seemed to remember two exactly. Well, not exactly. God knows how many fucking identities that man had. Mark probably wasn't even his real name he was speaking to. So he swiftly stood up, Mark watching him closely, and let out a deep sigh. Well, it was truly lovely speaking with you, Mark, but the whole killing thing, yada yada. Without warning, Tony's watch transformed into some kind of cuffs and quickly flew towards the other, successfully chaining his two hands together. You are hereby under arrest. Stephen just watched in shock as he saw Mark trying to free his hands. He even thought he might have seen a flash of panic in his expression. And to top it off, Khonshu decided that his avatar being imprisoned was shit, so he appeared and threw a baby tantrum, which, on one hand, threw Stark completely off, but on the other, did nothing more than making a big mess out of Stephen's apartment. I'm guessing you didn't just leave a window open and that there's a big fucking storm right now? Stark's sarcastic comment miserably failed at covering his surprise. Mark was so fucking done. Sure, it was funny seeing the little British fuck almost pissing himself when Iron Man appeared out of who knows where. And yes, he thought that he was leading the conversation with Stark quite well. Distracting enough, at least. But he didn't expertly expect his own god to fuck things up. Stephen, sure, he was an idiot. Jake, most definitely. But Khonshu? They don't show themselves for literal weeks at a time, and now they had to intervene? So, to put it lightly, Mark was done. He was stressed and felt a headache coming on, with Stark's non-stop talking. Panicked reassurances from Stephen that did the opposite of the effect, considering he was on the verge of tears, and Khonshu streaming about killing the guy, probably knowing full well that Mark couldn't free himself of whatever these fucking cuffs were made of. Originally, I just wanted to drop you off at the police or give a tip to the FBI, but you are a mutant? Enhanced? Alien? Fuck knows what, so yeah. No, actually, fuck. Okay. I'm gonna have to bring you to the tower and put you in one of our little temporary cells. I can't figure this shit out right now. Oh, Cap is gonna be so pissed. Which would be funny, but he's gonna rat me out to Peppers, so. Could you shut up? Stark just looked at him with a strained expression before completely ignoring him and reaching in his pocket to grab his phone, presumably to text someone to inform them of this new addition. All right, let's go, Wendy. Wendy? Mark was left ignored. Chapter 5. Spider senses are calling bullshit. Author's notes. Short chapter, but I'll try to post a new one on Monday and Wednesday. So a new chapters. Don't take my word for it. I'm very lazy. I'm actually not ready for the Moon Knight finale on Wednesday, so I'm gonna try writing more chapters in case I'm left as a crying wreck. Also, I've gotten peer pressured into downloading Twitter, so feel free to follow me at Ray Shizuna or Vavalive Vavalive_potato. I have no idea how that shit works. The walk to the jet, as well as the fly to the Avengers Tower, was spent in mostly silence. The only noise that sometimes filled the room was Tony's own little curses as he tapped away on his phone, the window mirroring his phone screen. Oh my god, he's playing Candy Crush! Mark looked toward Stephen, whose reflection was barely visible in the window next to Stark. Not even the real one. I'm pretty sure this is a bootleg version. Another curse came from Iron Man. Aw, he lost. Shut up. Stark just looked up at him, offended, while Stephen had this little kicked puppy face. Stark let out an annoyed huff and opened his mouth to answer his rude guest, but a feminine, rather formal voice out of nowhere informed them of their landing. So, to say that they were sneaking in would have been an understatement. Tony had Mark still cuffed, feet and mouth restrained at the moment he had set foot on the black asphalt of the tower's roof. The voice, Stark called her Friday, informed them of the best routes to the cells and which ones to avoid if they didn't want to run into another Avenger. Mark still wondered why the fuck they had some kind of jail in here, but who was he to wonder about what Earth's supposedly strongest heroes spend their money on? He was just thankful for Khonshu and Stephen finally leaving him alone. Abruptly, Stark came to a halt in front of some kind of steel door. Well, this is your stop, Wendy. Instead of answering, Mark just let the man push the door open. Inside was a white tiled corridor with multiple rooms, all with see through walls and the same steel doors. It reminded him of a clinic. Stark let him step inside and closed the steel door firmly behind him. Then he instructed Mark to enter the very last cell. Inside was nothing much, just a bed, sink, some kind of toilet, and a desk in the middle of the room. Alright, you're gonna have a nice little stay here while I get ready for my conference that you hopefully don't ruin. Stark turned around and walked out, leaving Mark alone in the room. After the main entrance's door was closed again, Stark was once and for all out. The mechanical re- and Stark was once and for all out. The mechanical restraints folded themselves together and flew away. With a sigh, Mark sat down on the bed, the mattress surprisingly soft. Under other circumstances, he would have knocked Iron Man out and went on with his life, but since the Avengers definitely had a way of finding him, as Stark proved, and he really didn't want a team of superheroes hunting him down, he'd have to play along for a bit. He thought about maybe letting Steven or Jake front, or at least talk to them, but he was sure that Stark had some kind of cameras installed around, so instead, Mark resorted to sleeping. Their body needed it anyways, and considering he was in a cell, there was no way to wake up somewhere else. Peter knew something was weird when he saw Mr. Stark leaving so abruptly. The Avengers press conference was soon, and even though Mr. Stark wasn't the most reliable person to trust with PR stuff, he was still to some degree responsible. And afraid of Pepper. So when Tony returned a few hours later, Peter's first thought was, why? And then he saw some random dude in full fucking restraints following Mr. Stark out, and it went from why to why in all caps. Naturally, he had to investigate now. Well, after he crawled down from the tower's wall. And that's a wrap on chapters 3, 4, and 5. So those are some very short chapters. I hope you understand now why I'm grouping them all together like this. But I hope you guys enjoyed, as short as this was. Please go show the original author, ShizunaRey, some love. And please leave me some comments. I have this thing where I ask my viewers for hate comments, so please leave me a hate comment and I will shout you out in the next video. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye, pups!